What's up guys, it's TyranitarTube and welcome back to Pokemon Conspiracies that may be real. Let's keep going. Every person you meet on the way to Mount Silver was a previous league champion. So this theory pretty much states that Mount Silver is so dangerous that they make you have 16 badges to enter. So even if you don't have the badges, you would be crazy if you're not strong enough to enter. Aside from Red, there are only 3 other trainers, well, humans that are in Mount Silver. Nurse Joy, an old lady, and a girl hidden in a house. The girl in the house is with her pharaoh over here, and when you talk to her, she says, "Oh dear, you found me. Please don't tell anyone about me. I'll give you this for keeping my secret, please." And she gives you a TM. Now, what you hiding from? Did you cheat? Are you trying to hide from someone? She obviously has a reason to want to be low-key. Literally, "Oh dear, you found me." She was living her peaceful life here, and she doesn't want you to let the cat out of the bag to the world that this is where she is. Now, just sit here and imagine that she is a really strong trainer that the world knows about. It makes sense. She could be Faulkner's mommy. He's like, "I don't want to raise that man. I'm taking my pharaoh here." Realistically, you would not only expect but hope that the game isn't so linear, that there aren't outcasts, there aren't former champions and stuff. People retire. Even Red and Blue retired their champion title instantly and are wandering around. Who's to say there aren't just 3 other trainers that they have the spotlight in Kanto and Johto, so they come to Mount Silver and live in peace? It's not a bad idea at all, and I dig the idea of normalizing a champion. You know, being able to look at a typical person and they're a former champion. Now, the person in this post thinks that Granny's a straight champion, but I have a different take. Let me go through her dialogue and don't promise not to tear up. It's not that sad. "Trainers who seek power climb Mount Silver despite its many dangers. ... With their trusted Pokemon, they must feel they can go anywhere. ... Do you get the undertone she's giving? Her mood is as if she's been there in the footsteps of these trainers that think they can conquer Mount Silver, except she lost her Pokemon. The confidence with their trusted Pokemon, they must feel they can go anywhere. And now here she is, just hanging out in the Pokemon Center." I think this Granny is a really strong trainer that lost a lot of her Pokemon when she tried to climb Mount Silver, but she still has like 1 or 2. And the reason she's here is just to hang out with the Nurse Joy. I want to point something out to you. I'll go anywhere else in this game. You'll notice the Pokemon centers are filled with trainers, with these random people and their stupid dialogue. But notice how no one is in this Pokemon center. Game Freak intentionally put no one here. No one is supposed to be here in Mount Silver, but here this Granny is. And she's also here to keep the Nurse Joy company and protect her, because this is a dangerous place. Meanwhile, Nurse Joy would be here ambitiously, here to protect and take care of the wild Pokemon. And then she sees the familiar 1 or 2 trainers that pop in from time to time. I bet you Red comes through. I don't think the Nurse Joy is a champion, but I do think she got balls. Like, it's probably not required by the higher Pokemon Center people to have someone in Mount Silver. This Pokemon Center is probably supposed to be abandoned. I mean, it pretty much is. I would hope if there were strong trainers, and let's try to look at it from Game Freak's point of view. When they're designing this, in their mind, maybe when they placed these 3 trainers, they meant them to be exceptional trainers. If not former champions, maybe even people who have beaten like 1 or 2 Elite 4 members. You know what? Possible. If they weren't champion level, they're extremely strong trainers in some regard. That's pretty cool. You know why Nurse Joy is there? She's taking care of all the Larvitars. She's waiting for my arrival. Okay, next is a classic theory. Trade evolution. Why Pokemon evolve by trade? This theory pretty much states that when Pokemon like Machoke are traded away, that they go through an emotional thing that makes them transform into Machamp. Either they don't want to be abandoned, or they want to rapidly do something to improve themselves. They self-actualize some transformation, hoping the trainer won't leave them, and they evolve. They freaking unlock a Sharingan, okay? And that's what a trade evolution is. So that means Machamp is a desperate Machoke trying to improve. Golem, Alakazam, there's one more. Gengar. Oh, man, you can totally buy the idea. See, the way things work in Pokemon is there's actual evolution that can lead to regional variants in different places. So a Vulpix and a Alola. Let's say there was a normal type prequel to Vulpix. The ones that lived in Alola naturally evolved into ice. The ones that lived elsewhere evolved into the fire one. But there's a different kind of evolution too, which is what the story of Pokemon is about. It's about this rapid improvement evolution, this fast pathway they can take. So Pokemon do have in some way this ability to transform and rapidly evolve themselves. It would not be far-fetched to say that they're fear of abandonment. You know, if you take care of an animal that, like a dog that was abandoned when they were small, they kind of keep that fear. So this is a real strong feeling here. I think it's totally possible. Now, we know the real reason they evolved by trade is that Game Freak wanted to get some extra bucks by making people link their games together. Go have fun, kids. But you gotta think about it. If a Pokemon like Charmander will evolve at level 16, they programmed that in. What was Game Freak thinking when they programmed that we're gonna make Graveler evolve by trade? Did they have some theory in their head of why they were doing it, or did they just want to make trade evolutions? Up until today, they've never given an alternative to these trade evolutions. If you ask me, I'm directly on the fence for this. I want to say Nosable, but I'm gonna give it possible. But I will also add that I think this idea was dropped the year after they made Red and Blue. You can evolve Politoed by giving it a King's Rock. What is Politoed stumbling for items to improve himself and puts the crown on? Actually, it makes sense. Steelix, if Steelix has a metal coat nearby, he'll try to improve himself with it. And Scizor will improve himself with it. Oh man, Kingdra uses the Dragon Steel to tap into being a dragon type? Oh shoot, this theory could be real. Think of Haunter to Gengar. Haunter's a full-blown ghost, but when you trade him out, he gets extremely powerful, as if he's allowing all of this hatred, love, everything just escape from him. He wears that smile on his face to confuse you into thinking everything is okay, and when you least expect it, he devours everything you hold dear. Damn, Gengar does look a bit crazy. Like a bit sinister. That's a fake grin. Possible. Take it. Though I don't think Game Freak remembers it anymore. Joey is a part of Team Rocket. Joey was sent to keep a watchful eye on Giovanni's son Silver, which is why he was at that route that the player meets him. Disguised as a youngster, after seeing the player beat Silver, he battles you, and after witnessing your power, he gets your number, which most players would give out, not suspecting that youngster would be from Team Rocket. No, I trusted him. I can't answer this one. The real reason Blue's Raticate is no longer in his party. So this theory pretty much states that Blue's Raticate just sucks, so Blue stopped using him. Or another theory that he traded it on board. But doesn't Blue mention a hint that his Raticate died? Blue stops you in Lavender Town and doesn't want to battle, just asks you if you've ever lost a Pokemon. The next battle you have with him, his Raticate is no longer in his party. Implied yes. No, his Raticate definitely died. This man didn't trade. It's also the one time in the entire game that Gary isn't mean to you. He genuinely asks you this question, then fights you. I think his Raticate died. I must say Nosable. But it makes you wonder, why did Pokemon introduce death into Pokemon? Where is the line between a Pokemon being fainted and dying? Oh, I suppose that makes sense. If a Pokemon faints, they've just been knocked out. Like they're just unconscious. It doesn't necessarily mean drained of their HP bar, though that's how it's depicted in the games. Okay, there's the difference. Magikarp is an invasive species. This is a hilarious theory. Just like carp in the real world, Magikarp is an invasive species. It is invasive everywhere except Unova because that is where it's least commonly found, meaning that could be its actual native region. This would explain why you can find it in every single game and region. This has disturbing implications as to what damage the Magikarp salesman is doing. Okay, all jokes aside, what is Magikarp invading? This man is invading as free food. Could you imagine you live in a region and the floodgates are opening with 90 Magikarp flooding through? Are you gonna be scared? You're gonna get your net out. Magikarp may have attempted to invade Unovan waters, but Basculin are so territorial that the Magikarp were probably chased off. Yeah, well the Basculin didn't scare them in Hisui. Magikarp ain't running away, they just get killed. Magikarp ain't gonna process, oh shoot, that dude is strong. Backup team, they're already dead by the time they see the Basculin. Why the starters aren't found in the wild. So this theory pretty much states that the starters for each generation, the Kanto starters for Kanto, Johto for Johto, these sets of Pokemon do naturally exist in their region, but because they're so highly intelligent and powerful, they were instantly captured en masse by early people that came to the region. And so the professors just have a rare version that they've protected over the generations that they give to you as a starter Pokemon. They were the first captured Pokemon that started a great change in man's lifestyle. They were called starters. It's not a bad idea at all, especially if we take it back to Gen 1 and pretend those are the only games out. One theory you would think is that because we have science in this game, we have cloning, that maybe the starter Pokemon aren't found anywhere else because they were just made. They're artificial 3 Pokemon. And obviously no one wants that. We want them to exist as real Pokemon. There isn't really an answer to this. I mean, you never know. Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander could be the kings of their territory. Maybe when people watch these Pokemon, they see the Venusaurs are kings of the forest, the Blastoise rule the oceans, and Charizard the skies and the volcano areas. And so they captured the baby forms to easily tame this power when it evolves. And then eventually they just became really endangered Pokemon. I've tried to think about this here and there, and I've never come to an answer of why starter Pokemon don't exist in their region. And this is a pretty good idea. They even add Eevee into the mix. Eevee could technically be like a 4th starter Pokemon. It kind of even is in Pokemon Yellow. Eevee has these unstable genes. It can become anything. And it seems like such a loving Pokemon. These 4 would be Pokemon you have to protect from early days. As of Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh, I'm gonna give this possible. But then we gotta start answering how this coincidence continues to exist in future generations. The reason it's kind of cool is if you think of Legends Arceus, there are Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup in the wild. Maybe directly after our story ends in Pokemon Legends, these people who start exploring Sinnoh end up quickly capturing all of those starters and making this theory come to light. Hisui and Sneasel were hunted to extinction by Gliscor. So this theory pretty much states that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, if I remember correctly, the Sneasel that are found in the game are near the Gliscor. Sneasel are poison fighting types, and Gliscor completely dominate them, being ground and flying types. And you can just see it in the game. You can see the setup that they're next to each other. You can only assume the Gliscor are gonna kill off the Sneasel. I think the people who wrote and made Legends Arceus had some fun with lore and the way they built the world, that I feel like they might have set it up intentionally for people to see that. And you can see that the Sneasel that live today are ice types. Only magically, when amongst Hisui and Sneasel, when one was born, mutated as this ice dark type, they're the ones who only survive past that. But you know what don't make sense? This is 150 years ago. Are you telling me all modern Sneasel came from Hisui and Sneasel? Or are they 2 different Sneasel lines? It would make sense if we got the modern Sneasel because these turned ice, but 150 years is not enough for that change. Like an evolution change, sure, but a whole species change? I don't think so. Actually, Sneasel and Weavile are found in Sinnoh. Weavile is literally a Sinnoh Pokemon. Maybe they did evolve from Hisui and Sneasel. Ooh, Gliscor also has Poison Heal. So as Gliscor continued to bash heads and hunt Hisui and Sneasel, the Hisui and Sneasel that try to fight back and slowly poison the Gliscor ended up developing a thick skin and gaining Poison Heal to fight even better. The Sneasel are probably easy food for them. I'm totally on board for this theory. The only weird thing is that Sneasel could have a whole species change in under 150 years. But I guess that's all it takes. Maybe unlike the animals in our world, when Pokemon are born with the mutation, that they can be a whole different typing. And their species can change just like that. Okay, brace yourself for this one, okay? What if all Pokemon went extinct thousands of years ago, except Ditto? You better stop. You better stop right now. Oh, what a lie that would be. You go, imagine, okay, obviously, it's just a fun idea. Imagine they made a region, like let's say Gen 10 or something, where everything was Ditto. You just didn't know till the end of the game. You go in the region, you're catching Charmander, well not Charmander, you're catching some fire type, you're making your team, you fight the champion, and at the end of the game, you realize they're all Ditto. In some massive scheme, they all just revert back to their Ditto forms. Dittos, masters of disguise. One idea is Mew is the progenitor of all Pokemon, right? So maybe Mew technically was the Ditto in example here. I can't answer this one. Goodness, imagine the people were Dittos too. A whole fake region. A whole fake Namek. Alright, I'm gonna call it quits here. Go on and shank that like button, and we'll look at some more theories next time. See you on the next video. Take care.
Bitch, I'm a pro.